Jimmy Tan said, why not understand it as OTSW? If we identify our opportunities and threats first, building upon our strengths and keeping it from weaknesses is much more easier. So we either take our challenges or miss them. That comes from opportunities, challenges in the pandemic. Physical interaction lost. When physical interaction is lost, much of the concept of school which were functioning earlier got lost. Interest in learning reduced. The shift is no more in that context that the child is sitting in front of the teacher and listening to what is being taught as a part of the curriculum. Now the interests were to stay away, keep at home, protect yourself from the disease, and so on and so forth. Issues related to belongingness. Belongingness in the sense that students and teachers were no longer a part of the education system because they were not interacting physically in the schools. The campuses were closed. So these were the challenges that pandemic created, and post-pandemic things changed. Things changed in the sense that the students never turned up by themselves to the schools when the schools got opened. The major challenge that is covered up in NEP 2020 in the form of dropout. Dropout is such a big issue that the child needs to be motivated, mentally prepared so that he or she can be in that learning environment where a teacher physically interacts with the child. If the child is not available, we have to find out the reasons behind it as to why the child is not there. Either his priorities has changed, he needs to earn something for himself, he is worried about his breakfast, and when such issues take over the issue of education, dropout becomes much more prominent. So, although we connected to the children in the post-pandemic session through a number of ways which we invented or built up over a period of time, still the actual need of how we are interacting here cannot be looked over. It is that necessary that you can gain much more if you are interacting physically. Hence, dropout needs to be addressed and is rightly taken in NEP 2020, whereby 2030 government aims to achieve it 100% in the form of GER. Convergence of pre-primary, primary and upper primary. This is a concept that we think our system is working on a different set where we have two different directorates for primary and secondary with no convergence in between the two. But when we visited Singapore system in the form of Yishun School, secondary school, we found both the schools existed together with grounds in between them. The child, primary student, plays there and he knows after grade 6 he will go to this building. And the same campus he is playing, he feels and develops a sense of belongingness with this campus right when he enters the pre-primary section. Second, our system lacks that commitment that every child has to go to a government school, where our system does not permit that because in our system there is a rift. People have the options to go to private schools. Those who have more paying capacity in terms of finances, they prefer those schools. As a result, the people who can contribute to the government schools are not contributing in that particular spirit which is required. Hence, the gap is widening day by day. So we need a cultural shift over there. We need to make it mandatory that every child should go to the government school. There should be pre-primary, primary and upper primary convergence so that we can plan a holistic development of the child over 10 years of or 14 years of compulsory education that we are planning from class 0 to or pre-primary PP 1 to 8th class. After that, vocationalization is being promoted through NEP 2020, which will help to identify the strengths of the children based on their intellect, based on their skills, and from 9th onwards till 12th, grade 12, they will be focusing on those issues. Hence, convergence of pre-primary, primary and upper primary is a very important issue that needs to be carefully handled while we implement NEP 2020. Changes in behavior pattern and mindset. The system that is already working has been working since ages. And because people have adapted to it over a long period of time, running in decades, to change that mindset is a big challenge. First of all, teachers need to be prepared for it. Secondly, school leaders need to be motivated for it. Thirdly, the department should reconsider the policies which are drafted at the higher level so that they are slightly centralized. Rest of it, let it be decentralized so that every unique school can function in a system where they can build upon their strengths, recognizing their opportunities. Team building is possible only when we work on this step, because like-minded people should be made to sit together, come up with an idea that works for all of them. Only then that particular team can perform effectively and give the desired results to the institution or the leader of the institution in the form of sub-tribes working for the leader of the tribe. Designing of teacher training. Teacher training component should be handled at the national and the state level, looking into the needs that NEP 2020 focuses on. If teacher training is well planned, all the teachers be trained regularly in time and as a part of the curriculum and its implementation, then effectiveness of the system will automatically speak of itself. Designing of the curriculum for teacher training. This includes restructuring of the curriculum. Its effectiveness can only be accounted for if it is tailor-made, looking into the child-centric issues, wherein teachers feel comfortable to perform. It should be more of practical oriented so that experiential learning and experiential learning play a significant part, as we have learned. Challenges. When we talk of dropout, what are challenges do we face? The challenges we face are skill-based education. Vocationalization is being thought of for grade 9, 10, 11 and 12. But who will provide that education? First of all, teachers need to be well skilled so that they can provide such education. Only then the students will benefit from it. Secondly, we need to develop guidance and counseling part of the educational system so that proper identification or assessment of the children on the basis of their skills or their strengths be well assessed in time, as the Singapore model has, where assessment is done on daily basis, on monthly basis or yearly basis, so that by the time the child completed his compulsory education, he is in that the teacher is well aware of all his strengths and guides him properly so that he can proceed for his for the proper development of his skills and take a suitable education or employment. Next, employment in terms of apprenticeship. That will add on to the skill-based education. Only if skill-based education is effective, apprenticeship and vocationalization will work well. Social involvement to impart technical skills. Technical skills needed to be imparted because when we work with our own hands, we learn by doing. Learning by doing is a very good art, and if we have different skilled personnel in the locality, in the village, in the community, in the block, in the cluster, those people should be invited to the campus so that they feel connected to their schools, so that students feel belongingness, a feeling of belongingness to those particular people or their professions, and they can learn from them and that they can build upon that over a period of time. Students who are studying in our schools have already started thinking on these terms. Now the teachers have developed their capacity to make their minds tinker. We have tinkering labs. That concept is building upon because we have provided them the structures. Adult tinkering labs that are all over in India to the tune of 5,000 labs. They provide working environment to the child where a lab is given, material is given, child works by himself, makes projects on artificial intelligence. I have built up a lab, the only of its kind in my school, in Bathinda district. My students qualified for that and they competed online during that particular period, and 2 students of my school got selected at the national level, and Government of India provided them with 2 laptops. They were in class 6 at that time. Now they are in class 9. So it happens if you provide them the raw material. As long as you don't give flow to the child to need it, he will not experience what failures he can face.